Welcome to the Hornet School. Lesson 1, Ground School. Airfield operations, radio communications, and takeoff procedures. Lecture intent. Provide a base of knowledge for understanding airfield layout, terminology, and procedures. Introduce common radio brevity schemes used during airfield operations. Common Traffic Advisory Frequency, or CTAF. Define procedure and configuration for taxi and takeoff in the FA-18C. Part 1. Airfield Basics. Airfield layout, terminology, and procedures. Airfield layout. 1. We have the apron, ramp, or parking area. 2. The taxiway. 3. The runway entrance. 4. Runway threshold. 5. The runway designator. 6. The touchdown zone. And 7. The runway centerline. Runway designators. A 2-digit number rounded to the nearest 10 degrees of magnetic north. However, which number you use depends on the active direction in use. If you're approaching along heading 150, you are landing on runway 15. If you approach along heading 330, you are landing on runway 33. Some airfields have multiple or parallel runways, named left and right, but which is which depends on the active direction in use. 15 left and 15 right can become 33 left and 33 right. A word about directions. Cardinal directions. You have north, east, south, and west. Azimuth directions. North equals 000 or 360. East equals 090. South 180. West 270. Note, in most places on Earth, true or map north is different from magnetic north. We will almost always work in magnetic. This is what the FA-18C systems provide by default. A word about directions. To operate effectively, we need to be able to determine what is the bearing from us to some feature, what is the bearing from that feature to us. If the airfield is bearing 030 from our aircraft's location, then we are bearing 210 from the airfield's location, or 030 plus 180. These are known as reciprocal headings. Part 2. Communications. Radio communications, terminology, and procedures. Radio communications. Controlled airfields, we interact with a controlled authority. We ask permission and receive directions. At uncontrolled airfields, we determine our own timing and routing. We announce our intentions and listen to the intentions of others on a common frequency as an advisory. Common Traffic Advisory Frequency. A frequency allocated for pilots to self-announce their intentions and communicate with each other. You are not requesting permission and receiving instruction unless the airfield is controlled by a human. The NATO phonetic alphabet. What is it? A set of code words used in place of individual letters or numbers. Some letter and number sounds are frequently misidentified when received over radio or telephone transmissions. The potential for confusion increases if static or other interference is present, as is commonly the case with radio and telephonic communications. The 4 W's of radio communication. Who are you calling? Who are you? Where are you? What do you want? Or in CTAF, what are you doing, or what are your intentions? Some server-specific examples. On our server, the CTAF frequency 122.000 MHz, preset channel 1 on COM1 in all F-18C spawns, is shared across multiple airfields, so we bookend the "who are we calling" information to avoid confusion associated with broken transmissions. For example, Sanaki traffic, 501, 10-mile initial, left overhead brake, Sanaki. Makop traffic, 445, taxiing to runway 04, Makop. Just your Modex is fine. No need for aircraft type or call sign on our server. Comms list example for departure. Taxi. Sanaki traffic 501, taxiing to runway 09, Sanaki. Taking or holding short of the runway. Sanaki traffic 501, taking runway 09, Sanaki. Departing. Sanaki traffic 501, departing runway 09, southbound, Sanaki. Clearing the airspace. Sanaki traffic 501, clear of your airspace, Sanaki. Comms list example for arrival. Initial. Sanaki traffic 501, 5-mile initial for left overhead brake, 09, Sanaki. The brake turn. Sanaki traffic 501 in the brake, Sanaki. The base turn. Sanaki traffic 501, turning base, Sanaki. On final, Sanaki traffic 501, short for final for 09, Sanaki. Part 3, Takeoff. Prerequisite steps and procedures. Takeoff pre-taxi checks. Tune TACAN to Airfield station, if available. Box TACAN on your HSI. Set a course line for the runway heading. Set flaps to half. Set your takeoff trim. Set hook bypass to field. Set your anti-skid to on. Takeoff trim button, push to set 12 degrees, nose up trim. Adjust as needed for loadout. Power specifications. Military or mil power, maximum power settings without afterburner. Afterburner, device that injects fuel into hot exhaust gases, providing extra thrust. The bottom left of your dash, you have your integrated fuel engine indicator or EFI panel. And on the top left of that panel, you can see your engine RPM. Top right, your fuel total in pounds. And below that, your internal fuel in pounds, i.e. fuel not stored on the wing or centerline external tanks. How do I know if I am an afterburner? The best way is to set a detent on your throttle if you have one that supports them. This means you must physically push the throttle past mil to get to afterburner. This requires a bit of manufacturer-specific tuning. You can also hear the afterburner kick on in the DCS FA18C. There's a loud clunk when it activates. There's an option in the sound settings that can be used to make that clunk louder. Also, check fuel flow rate. Takeoff procedure. Make radio calls as appropriate. Line up on runway centerline. Apply wheel brakes. Advance throttle to 80% engine RPM. Release brakes. Advance throttle to mil power. Use nose wheel steering to maintain centerline while accelerating. At roughly 60 to 70 knots, disable nose wheel steering using the paddle switch. Continue maintaining centerline with rudder input. At 150 knots, gently pull back on the stick to raise the aircraft nose. Once airborne, raise landing gear and set flaps to auto. Take speed 300 knots and climb as required by airfield departure procedure. That concludes our brief lecture on Lesson 1. Click the link below to ride along with our mentor as they go further into detail on some of the skills you've learned in this lecture and expand on some of the airfield operations you'll be using at Sanaki Airport during your time at the Hornet School. Thanks for watching.